Hello and welcome. This is rooflemonger. And my friends, I was very lucky to be invited to play Mortal Kombat 1 over at the Summer Game Fest in Los Angeles, California. And in my time, I learned a lot about the game, and I figure, well, I'm going to share everything I know about the game as far as the gameplay goes with you. Now, that said, I did have a very limited time with the game. So if you remember my preview coverage of Street Fighter 6 and said I had limited time there, that was a lot compared to this. I only got to play for half an hour. So I took 2 7-hour flights and 2 4-hour trains to play the game for only half an hour. But you know what? It was still worth it because it's a really cool game in the end. Now, I know you want a lot of gameplay details, and you will get them in this video. As you know well that the Rooflemonger channel here, we keep an eagle eye focus on gameplay tidbits that most other people don't care to talk about. But that said, we got one thing to talk about above everything else, wildly so, and that is the cameo system. There seems to be a lot of misunderstanding about the cameo system, or even maybe not just total understanding of what's going on, as some people think it's some optional thing you can just turn off. Spoiler, you can't. And some people it's like, oh, it's just an assist. And well, yes, it does assist. There is assist in a way, but it's really so much more. The cameo system is the game. Put no point about it. The cameo system is as integral to the game as like the drive system is to Street Fighter 6 or the heat system is to Tekken 8. There is no Mortal Kombat 1 without the cameos. It is the game. And that said, it is also absolutely to the game's benefit, as a lot of the really cool stuff about Mortal Kombat 1 is because of the cameo system. So on a very base level, are they assists? Yes. But they're also multiple assists, many assists. And they also change a lot of basic stuff from interactions and more. So let's get into the weeds about cameos first before the other gameplay details. And then, well, we'll get into the other gameplay details. So to start off, cameos are their own dedicated button. It's R1. And yes, a direction and R1 will give you a different cameo option. So like say Sonya has the classic energy ring. You can also call her in to do leg scissors, which will bounce the enemy and create a combo state that you can follow up after the fact. And you can call her in to do her square wave move, where she'll go high up in the air and hit the enemy. And naturally, well, a lot of these you can create combos out of. Now, this stuff isn't free. The cameos have their own meter, and doing moves takes meter out of it, right? And they'll recharge over time. The more powerful the move, generally the meter recharges slower. Something like Energy Ring, the recharge is almost instantaneous. So some cameo moves are spammable, some are not. Your cameo choice also affects your throws. So back throw is the regular throw for every character, 11% now, not 14 like MK11. And your forward throw is your cameo throw. Now, throw breaks work the same they always did, but cameo throws can be more valuable than your back throw that your character does. Why? Well, in this example, Sonya does more damage. She does 13% instead of 11% like Sub-Zero normally does. Conversely, someone like Kano does the regular 11%. So your cameo choice also affects things like your overall throw damage. Jax is also a great example. So Jax's regular forward cameo throw actually only does 10%, so a little bit less than Kano even, right? But unlike the other characters, Jax can enhance his cameo throw. So if you spend a meter, he'll do more slams, and now he gets 15% instead of the normal 11. And you can spend 2 meters, in fact, and get up to 19% all in all. And of course, damage numbers aren't final in any way, shape, or form, but it's just an idea. So your cameo choice affects something as simple as the throw game in Mortal Kombat 1. So you can imagine if, say, a character like Goro is a cameo, right? Maybe he's even crazier yet on the throws. So all sorts of assists, projectiles, capture state combos, all that kind of stuff, and changing your basic throw game, like that alone, cameos are quite a bit, right? And also naturally they're part of your fatal blow. They add to whatever damage you're already going to do. But just the basics on how a lot of these work can really inform just matchups in general. When I was on site, I was actually very lucky to talk to Stephanie Brownback, aka 16-Bit, and cameos were one of the things we talked about. And one thing about counterplay and counter matchups is the cameo can be the matchup changing device, right? Say if you have whatever main, you don't have to necessarily change your main in a bad matchup. You can just simply change your cameo. Like, let's take Kano's beam. So Kano's beam is a very high damaging projectile that eats up a lot of real estate, and it's also really fast startup, right? And one of the really nasty things about this is it's super, super active. Like, if the first part doesn't hit, it doesn't matter. As long as any part hits, then the whole animation and all the damage will play out. So in Fireball War term, this is a really nasty and strong move. So if you're a character that normally is a little deficient in the Fireball game, Kano's Eye Laser is a great replacement for a bad Fireball. So you might pick Kano to either help counter zone other players or to add to your own zoning, let alone whatever other bonuses you would get out of them as far as like combo extensions and all that other kind of stuff, right? So this is just an idea of how cameos could work in that way. The cameo helps inform the matchup just as much as the actual main character you are picking. And just besides helping neutral, helping your combos, stuff like Jax has an anti-air grab as one of his cameo attacks. So if someone's jumping a lot, you can call Jax to just smoke them out of the air. And Jax, his ground pound, is a true unblockable, by the way. True unblockable for everybody. That includes you. Jax will friendly fire you with the ground pound, and it will hurt you. So watch out for that. But yeah, true unblockable is really good. Here you can see Jax hitting Katana, who called him, so only she got hurt. So bad Jax call there. So he's very indiscriminate with his damage. But having true unblockables, hey, you can probably figure out a setup or two for that, right? Like, it's not going to be too difficult. Now, that's one negative of cameos I will show you right here. So Jax, you might notice that Sub-Zero sort of kicked him in the head, right? So that is a thing you can do with assists. You can hit them out of their moves and out of anything they're doing while they're in neutral. Not only that, when you hit them, it damages the enemy character. Like, notice here, Katana glows red when Jax gets hit. So if your cameo gets hit, if you're doing them like willy-nilly, just summoning them, that can be absolutely used against you. That is in no way safe just to randomly call the assist, as it were. Your main character will take damage if they get hit. So a move like Jax, the true unblockable, yes, it's very strong, but since he's out there for quite a bit longer than usual, that also carries a little bit of an inherent weakness as well. Also, you may notice the cameo icon is kind of blacked out here. So if the cameo takes any damage, their regen on the meter will stop for a little bit, and they will not be able to be called in any way, shape, or form. So that's another penalty if your cameo happens to get hit. So very strong, yes, but obviously some weaknesses as well. Cameos also control breakers. Yes, breakers are back. There is no breakaway like MK11. So it works like this. It needs both the cameo to be usable and also takes 3 meters, so it's not cheap. And by usable, I mean, it doesn't necessarily take any amount of meter or anything, but they can't be in that, say, blacked out state, that grayed out state if they get hit or whatever. They need to be able to be called in some way, shape, or form. And if you have that and then 3 meters, then you can do a breaker at any time. So, combos, neutral, gimmicks, pressure. I want to impress upon you that the cameo is very, very important. And our limited game time that you're going to see from everyone who got to play, like, we're not going to have sick cameo combos for you. Here's a very basic example, right? But that will definitely get much more advanced and involved in time. So a lot more to be learned, yes, but I hope I've impressed upon you just how important the cameo feature is, because it's really, really good, y'all. Not the least of which the animations are just great. Like, look at Kano. Kano's like shoving your head down. He's using your head as like a stabilizer to hold himself in place while he's doing his eye laser. That's super cool. Also notice in this scenario here, he hits both Sonya and Kenshi, so he's getting extra damage in. Not only is he hitting Kenshi, obviously doing damage, but hitting Sonya adds another layer of damage as well. And also, let's talk some of the other gameplay mechanics. Note, when the hit happens here, look at the meters. We both start with 1 meter, right? And when Kano gets that hit, well, how come we're getting 2? Because, my friends, first hit bonus is back. Whoever gets that first hit at the start of the very first round of the game will indeed get awarded 1 extra meter. So this does heavily reward aggressive play at the start of a game. I once made an entire video about how much I like this mechanic, so I'm very, very glad it has returned. Also, with this footage here, you see that weird little upwards block that Liu Kang is doing? That is effectively an air parry. So while you're blocking, hit up, and for a very short window, this will basically catch all jumps and give you a punish on jumps. So normally if you block, say, a jump punch in Mortal Kombat, that doesn't actually mean you did anything of note, right? Because the enemy's still going to be able to go wild on you. This will stop it dead and you get a punish. I don't have footage of it, unfortunately, but this is what I was told by 16-bit. Also, the fact that you can catch a jump means there's now counterplay, because you can just empty jump. If they're really good at catching jumps with that up parry, empty jump, throw them, combo them, or whatever, like, you can do whatever you want, right? It's a punishable state. It stops jumps, but it does not stop grounded attacks. Some other things I asked Stephanie Brownback were, what kind of characters are we going to get? Especially, is there big boy archetypes? Is there grappler archetypes for both the main characters and also for cameos? And sort of non-answer, but answering with a non-answer, in that the playstyles and archetypes you would expect in a fighting game, expect them to show up here in Mortal Kombat 1. So if we're not seeing, certain archetypes just yet, maybe expect them to show up a little bit later on. Besides that, other things like, yes, armored moves will be returning in Mortal Kombat 1. They were, for the most part, missing in Mortal Kombat 11 outside of things like fatal blows or various stage interactions, because they were very strong in MKX specifically, right? But they will return here in Mortal Kombat 1. Of course, character to character, maybe not every character will have these options. That said, the one thing I did ask specifically to Stephanie Brownback was, would there be armored launchers returning like Mortal Kombat X? And no, there will be no armored launchers. Armored moves as a defensive or bullying tactic, yes, but no armored launchers to full combo, sadly for us War God Kotal Khan fans. This I got asked a lot on Twitter. Brutalities, yes. The only one I saw in the build was Sub-Zero's uppercut. And cameos can do fatalities too. So your main character can fatality, and your cameo can. As you can see with Jax 2, they get into the silly stuff. And yes, my friends, frame data will return. Every character has expansive movesets, and you can turn on the frame data and see it for yourself what's going to do what. Exact number values, damage, high, mid, low, overhead, all that kind of stuff, startup, active frames, recovery. And also, there is differences here between regular block and flawless block. So yes, flawless block does return, and not every single move will the flawless block have any additional advantage. However, some moves you will recover faster or have more advantage frames on a flawless block. So that's something we'll get into the weeds with when the game actually comes out, I suppose. But yeah, all the info is here at your fingertips, right out of the gate at the start, so that's great. Now that said, the damage values, the frame data, and all that you're seeing right here, right now, don't take that it's going to survive into launch, right? Launch is still months and months away, so plenty of time for a lot of this stuff to change. But still, here is a good little preview. So that's a bit of a purely gameplay preview for you for Mortal Kombat 1. There's still so much to be learned. Once again, we only got half an hour to play, and that's very little amount of time for someone who's serious about fighting games, but still learned quite a bit about the game. And that said, I hope I helped you learn a bit as well. If there's this much for me to discover this early on with such a limited amount of time, that means there's a lot of depth of the game, especially in terms of stuff like the cameo system. I am really looking forward to seeing how a lot of the cameos work and how they shape the game plan. Because even little simple things like, okay, if I have Kano as my cameo, then my neutral's better because I have a better fireball because he has a proper beam. Okay, if I have Jax, my throw game's a lot better because I can spend meter enhancing my throws and become like grappler light. Sonya allows for very easy air juggles thanks to her square wave assist. And once again, every character has multiple assists, so it helps combos, neutral, everything. It's really cool stuff. Also, we have a bit more to go over. I do want to create a bit of a character preview guide for you. Sub-Zero especially, I went a little in depth with. I learned a lot about the character, so I want to have some character dedicated videos. So look forward to that coming on the channel. And of course, more Mortal Kombat 1 coverage over the following weeks and months leading up to launch, because I love Mortal Kombat. I covered a lot of Mortal Kombat 11 back in the day on the channel, and you better believe I'll be covering a lot of Mortal Kombat 1. But that said, till then, we are now at the end of the video. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some Mortal Kombat.